get started right now. For those folks who might not be aware, this is the regular meeting of the Milford Board of Selectmen. Ordinarily, we have it downstairs in room 3, but because of one of the presenters this evening, obviously there's a lot of interest in that topic, so we've scheduled it up here. So we're going to work as best we can through the course of the meeting with the acoustics, and I just ask all of your indulgence to allow the presentation to occur orderly so that we can all benefit from it. So with that, let me start the Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, April 8th, 2013. The first item that I have is a signing of the warrant.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have approval of March 18th, 2013 meeting minutes.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? That too is unanimous. The next item is citizen participation. Is there anyone who would like to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Sir? Come down here. Bill, you're going to have to just surrender the microphone. Wait, please, wait, can you just hold on till you get to the microphone?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for having this in a larger forum because I wasn't able to attend 3 weeks ago when you had the meeting because it was so crowded. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak. And I guess I'm confused. I know this is my only opportunity during this meeting as a citizen of the town of Milford to speak. So I guess I'm confused about your statement of not being allowed to speak about items that are on the agenda. So could you clarify that?
Well, typically the citizen participation is for folks to address the board on items not on the agenda.
But I do want to speak on something, an item that is on the agenda.
Okay,
so.
then why don't you speak on whatever you'd like to speak on?
Okay, so yeah, I've attended a few of these meetings, and it wasn't clear to me that that there was an opportunity for a citizen to speak about, specifically about the casino coming to town. And I've been wanting to do that for some time now, and I've come to a meeting that was held 2 years ago, and then tried to come last week, and then I've come to this meeting. So I wanted to be able to address you guys, and first off, once again, thanks for the larger forum so we can attend. And I have a number of concerns about the casino coming to the town of Milford. The main concern I have is the increase in crime that will result. And specifically, there's a number of items that come up, but specifically, if you go to www.backpage.com and go to Eastern Connecticut, and then click on escorts, you can see that there are several hundred ads for female escorts that frequent the casinos in Eastern Connecticut. And I don't really want that here in Milford. I don't want that in my community. So that's the main thing. Several other things I think have been pointed out, perhaps last week. I didn't see the minutes from last week yet. I guess they'll come up later. You know, Milford is a town, a fairly affluent town with pretty good average income per household. Casino coming in is relatively low-paying jobs. I don't really see a net benefit for having a number of low-paying jobs coming into the community. And the other thing that's of debate is what it's going to do for property values, specifically homeowners. If you look at a casino that was opened up recently in Columbus, Ohio, the representatives of the area in Columbus where the casino went in, they are seeing a net increase in revenue for taxes for the casino and some of the surrounding businesses, but so many of the local residents have petitioned to get their property values reduced on their homes. The net increase in tax revenue has been nullified. And then lastly, I'd like to speak with the way the economy is, and specifically since I think this is being primarily driven by the casino complex at Foxwoods. They're in severe financial difficulties. I think something like $2.3 million in debt. And because they're on a sovereign nation, it's a pretty tricky issue with their creditors, because they probably can't declare Chapter 11. Creditors can't sue them, or at least can't seize their assets because they are in a sovereign nation. And just the viability of somebody coming in and that's that far in debt to open up a casino here is questionable from a business aspect. So I just wanted to say those things. I'm glad I got an opportunity to address you guys, and I guess I'll just make it known as a town member for nearly 22 years now. I'm severely opposed to this. I understand this will come to a referendum at some point, that people will be able to vote on in the town of Milford. Is that my understanding?
Citizen participation is really not an opportunity for dialogue, but I will tell you that that's a possibility, but it's not a certainty.
Not a certainty. Okay, so I'd urge that the people, at least the people of Milford, be able to have an opportunity to vote on this should it come should it get that far. But in the meantime, I guess I would urge the investors in the casino not to bother wasting any more money trying to come here, because I think myself and a number of other citizens will try to do their best to prevent it. I don't see any net gain for our community. I don't see any net gain for the average citizen in Milford, and I'd urge anyone to do their utmost to fight this. So I thank you for letting me address you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. But before you leave, if you could just give us your name and address for the minutes.
Sure, it's Robert Flatley, and my address is 10 Eben Street, E-B-E-N Street, Milford.
Did you get that, Gene? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Yes, sir. If I could just ask you to give us your name and address for the minutes.
Jim Spino, Milford, Mass., 15 Wales. I'm confused. An item so important to this community. Now I'm sitting here hearing that we may not be talking about this as a community. Just clarification, that's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, that's not what I said. The citizen participation portion of a meeting really is not an opportunity for dialogue. I'll do the best I can to address your questions, but this is a regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen, at which time one of the appointments is the presentation from the casino proposal.
I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that for today.
That's all the purpose is tonight.
Let's be a little more specific then. Is there going to be a meeting in the future where we are allowed to address?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There'll be probably more than one opportunity for public hearings.
Okay, then the second part.
If the proposal progresses, absolutely.
If it progresses, and I agree with that, and I hope it does not. But the second part of that question is, we have Foxwoods who came out of the woods all of a sudden, and now they're the lead group on this, and they're giving a presentation today. Are they going to be coming back to allow us to confront them with questions?
Again, if the proposal proceeds, there will be plenty of opportunities for public hearings, which I would anticipate the proponent or the developer or their representatives to be present.
Okay, and everything that we're talking about, there's no closed doors things going on here, no meetings that are taking place, this is all public record?
Absolutely.
Okay, so everything that is talked about here and after this will become public record and we'll know about it?
Everything is public. None of the proceedings are subject to executive session.
Okay.
Anything that this board does with the proponent or the developer is done open and publicly.
Very good. Then I'll just leave and just say I absolutely positively stand on record against this casino, and I hope it does not happen in this town.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? If not, we'll proceed along with the scheduled agenda. The first item that we have is a public hearing. It is a petition for street approval. I'll read the notice. Notice is hereby given that the Milford Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing in Upper Town Hall, Milford Town Hall, 52 Main Street, Milford, on the following date and time, Monday, April 8th, 2013, at 7 p.m., on the intention of the board to lay out as a public way the following streets. Developer James Noguera, 35 Highland Street of Milford. The street is Iderola Ave, 237.70 feet, more or less. Rock Hill Farm Road, 186.33 feet, more or less. Madden Avenue, 160.94 feet, more or less. Descriptions of the proposed public way, as well as maps showing the same, are on file in the office of the town clerk in the Milford Town Hall and are available for public inspection. Interested parties should direct inquiries to the office of the Board of Selectmen, Room 11, or the Office of Planning and Engineering, Room 5, both in the Milford Town Hall. All persons interested in the intention of the board to lay out the above-named streets as a public way are invited to attend this hearing. We also have correspondence from our town planner indicating that the planning board at their regularly scheduled meeting of March 19th, 2013, unanimously recommended public acceptance of these streets. They are located in the Rock Hill Farm subdivision. Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recuse myself only based on the fact that Iderola Avenue, one of the streets involved, is the street I live on.
Okay. I'll second the motion for a favorable recommendation for acceptance of the street. Before we vote, are there any persons present who would like to be heard on this, as it is a public hearing? Hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And you abstain?
Abstain.
Okay. 2 in favor, 1 abstention. The next item is, again, a petition for street approval. I'll read the public hearing notice. Notice is hereby given that the Milford Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing in Upper Town Hall, 52 Main Street, Milford, on the following date and time, Monday, April 8th, 2013, at 7:01 p.m., on the intention of the board to lay out as public way the following streets. The developer is Joe Ferreira, President, L&F Building Corp., 31 Whitewood Road in Milford. The street is Diego Drive, 194.94 feet, more or less. Descriptions of the proposed public way, as well as maps showing the same, are on file in the office of the town clerk, Milford Town Hall, and are available for public inspection. Interested parties should direct inquiries to the office of the Board of Selectmen, Room 11, or the Office of Planning and Engineering, Room 5, both in the Milford Town Hall. All persons interested in the intention of the board to lay out the above-named streets as a public way are invited to attend this hearing. Again, we have correspondence from our town planner indicating that the planning board at their regularly scheduled meeting of March 19th, 2013, unanimously recommended public acceptance of the following street, subject to all work being completed, inspected, and approved by the time of the May 20th, 2013 annual town meeting. The street is located in the Nina Estates subdivision. Pleasure of the board. Motion made.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded. Again, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to be heard on this particular application? Hearing nothing. All in favor? Any opposed? That too is unanimous. The next item that we have is, again, a petition for street approval. I will read the public notice. Notice is hereby given that the Milford Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing in Upper Town Hall, 52 Main Street, Milford, on the following date and time, Monday, April 8th, 2013, at 7:02 p.m., on the intention of the board to lay out as a public way the following streets. The developer is Samuel J. Mancuso, the owner of 12 Broad Street, Milford. The street is Broad Street, 150 feet more or less. Descriptions of the proposed public way, as well as maps showing the same, are on file in the office of the town clerk, Milford Town Hall, and are available for public inspection. interested parties should direct inquiries to the Office of the Board of Selectmen, Room 11, or the Office of Planning and Engineering, Room 5, both in Milford Town Hall. All persons interested in the intention of the board to lay out the above-named streets as a public way are invited to attend this hearing. Once again, we have correspondence from Town Planner Larry Duncan indicating that the Planning Board at their regularly scheduled meeting of March 19, 2013, unanimously recommended public acceptance of the portion of Broad Street so named, and the Planning Board recommends inserting the appropriate article in the next town meeting warrant.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded. Again, this being a public hearing, is there anyone here who would like to comment on the application? Hearing nothing, all in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous. Now, the next appointment that we have is with Bill Kavanaugh, who would like to make a gift to the town.
Thank you so much.
Bill, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Glad to see you brought your family with you.
Yeah, I did. Thank you so much. I have a little fan base here myself.
I'm sure you do.
The class of 1957, by the way.
Good.
Good evening. My name is Bill Kavanaugh, and I live at 11 Alden Street in Milford. My wife and I graduated with the great class of 1957, and as luck would have it, our class president is here tonight with his lovely wife, Jean, and he being Reno DeLuzio, a trail man.
Mr. President?
And sitting aside of them is Teresa Mazzarelli, a friend of the trail, and she's on the committee of the Friends of the Trail. My wife and I are here tonight to say thank you. Thank you to you gentlemen for all you've done in the past, all the nice things that you've given us, especially during these tough economic times. You have been advocating and lobbying for us, always keeping the budget in mind. We are able to have places like our beautiful senior center, our beautiful library, our great parks, some that were literally dumps. How fortunate we, the people of Milford, are to have the gem of them all, that being our most beautiful Upper Charles Trail, which is the envy of all the surrounding neighboring towns. If it were not for you, our selectmen, having the foresight to develop the trail and to choose probably the only person that could pull it off, our Reno DeLuzio, to spearhead this daunting project, more than likely, this trail would not be here today. We thank Reno for that. Our future is unknown, but whatever comes along, we know these fine gentlemen will continue to make prudent and wise decisions on our behalf. We also came here tonight to give thanks to our first responders, our police and fire personnel. They, without a doubt, put their lives on the line every single day and night, protecting us from harm's way. Because of our first responders, we, the people of Milford, live in a comfort zone of total security, and we thank the police department and fire department for that. We thank our highway department for keeping our roads and sidewalks open, our potholes filled, our leaves removed, and then in the spring, our leaves removed and made into compost. And then in the spring, it's given back to us for our gardens. We thank all the personnel in our schools, our library, the people who work here in this beautiful town hall. Also, we give thanks to our parks department, the people at our wastewater treatment facility, and our very popular senior center. Recently, I started making clocks that are shown at the left-hand side, my left-hand side. And it became a hobby of mine. And at the same time, while I started making the clocks, I ran across a book that I have. It was Milford, the history of Milford from 1880 to 1930. I came upon a page, two things that caught my eye. In May of 1892, our first police chief was appointed by the selectmen. The following July, our town seal was presented to the selectmen by ex-selectman E.L. Weirs and his eldest daughter, Evelyn Weirs. Evelyn was the artist who designed and painted the town seal that is behind the screen that people can't see right at the moment. But I have a similar one that I made, so you can take a look at that one. It's just fine. With the help of Mrs. Lovell, I was able to locate the town seal, which I just mentioned. And so with that, I decided to make a clock with our seal on it. And after taking measurements and photos, the clock you see here is the result of my efforts. My seal and clock is only 30 inches in diameter, but Evelyn's seal is 7 feet 8 inches in diameter. And I don't know how she did it. She had to be on the floor to do it, because you have to start it from the center point and swing an arc all around this beautiful painting of hers. Anyways, okay, I made the clock. Well, anyways, the clock is here as a result of my efforts. Tonight, Bev and I would like to give our clock and seal to the people of the town of Milford. And we ask that it be placed in our beautiful library where hundreds of people frequent every day. As I was doing research there, I was looking around to see if there was a seal there, and I could not find one in display at all. So I think it would be a fitting place to be put if the board would approve that. And,
Absolutely, Bill. We'd be very pleased to have that as a permanent part of the library. It's a beautiful clock that you made.
Thank you so much.
We're very thankful for it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I did want to just mention two quick things. First of all, the easel that it stands on, I made it from last year's tomato poles.
Oh. Do you want them back for this year's crop, or no?
I'm going to buy new ones, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. And I'd also like to say thank you to Mr. Valani, our new town administrator. He was very, very nice to me. I think I was his first customer at last Monday, and he was so gracious to have me come into his office and had me sit down with him, and he took notes to see what I was wanting to do. And I have to applaud him. He's on my favorite list right now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
God
you,
bless you, and the town of Milford.
Thank you very much, Bill. Okay, the next item that we have on the agenda is the presentation from FCX Massachusetts LLC regarding the casino proposal. There are some gentlemen here who represent the proponent or the developer. Just to remind everyone again, this is not a public hearing in the sense that people will be allowed to ask questions or comment. If this process proceeds further, there'll be many, many opportunities for that. This is simply an agenda appointment where we can get information about this proposal and then have the board ask questions. So with that, whenever you're ready, gentlemen, and if you could introduce yourselves, that would be great.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, my name's Robert Allen. I'm the attorney representing FCX. To my left is Scott Butera, and to his left is Alan Kronberg. Scott Butera will be the president of FCX Massachusetts, and Alan will be the day-to-day manager who you will see quite often here in Milford. If I may, Mr. Chairman, before I turn it over to Scott, just briefly, because there has some who is FCX and who is Crossroads, I want to be clear that the current applicant before the Mass Gaming Commission is FCX LLC, which will be doing business as Foxwoods, Massachusetts. We are the applicant for the Category 1 Resort Casino license in Region A, which Milford is a part of, and again, Scott will serve as the company's president. Currently, the sole member of SCX continues to be Crossroads, and just so you understand the membership of Crossroads, I don't know if it's deviated much since they last before you, but current membership of Crossroads is Warner Gaming, who's managed by Bill Warner, Ajax Gaming Ventures, which is managed by David Nunes, RMP Mass Gaming, which is managed by Robert Potamkin, Etkin Mass Gaming, which is managed by Bruce Etkin, and White River Gaming, which is managed by Tim Prosciutti. Mr. Warner was hoping to be here. I know he's appeared before the board. He was hoping to be here tonight, but had some other business, unfortunately, that took him out of state. And I did have a comment. He did ask me to read the following to you. I apologize that I am unable to attend tonight's meeting, but I'd like to provide a brief introduction describing the efforts of Crossroads that resulted in our partnership with Foxwoods. I began working with David Nunes in 2008. Our efforts for the past several years were focused on finding the right partner to lead the development of our proposal project in Milford. In searching for the right partner, our focus was on partnering with a company that had a complete understanding of the market, had the experience to lead the development effort, and create a project that would be true destination resort, and had the confidence of the financial community. Above all these, we were looking for a partner that we could trust to be part of a team to compete for the Eastern Massachusetts gaming license. David Nunes and I believe Foxwoods was the obvious choice. David and I worked together to negotiate a deal with Foxwoods. Both David and I have known Scott Butera for several years and believe that Scott was the right guy to lead the effort. I'm very pleased that Scott is part of the team and look forward to being part of his successful efforts. I'll turn it over to Scott, and I'm certainly here to answer any questions. We continue to look forward to working with the board and with your council.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bob. Chairman Murray, Selectman Buckley, Selectman DeBartolomeus, and Administrator Villani, I want to say that it is a great honor, and we are very appreciative to have the opportunity to come and present before you today, as well as present to the great people of the town of Milford. I will say that in the time that we've been involved, we've had the chance to come up here and get to know Milford, and we're very moved by what a wonderful place it is and by the care and concerns of the citizens of this town. It's really good to know that everybody takes an active interest in what's happening in their community, and we hopefully look forward to working with everybody hand in hand to produce something that can be of great value to this town. Although we've been an operator in the gaming industry for many years, and Foxwoods is now celebrating its 21st year of operation, we know we're a very recent entrance to the Massachusetts licensing process, and that we have a great deal of work to do to get up to speed and to get you the answers that you all need to evaluate this project. We know that the board and the citizens of Milford are anxiously awaiting detailed information as to what this project actually might look like and what it's going to be and how we're going to operate and employ citizens and things of that nature. I can tell you that since we've been involved, which is a little over a month ago, we've spent tremendous effort and resources to put together a world-class team, and one that I know that will produce a process and a project that we can all feel very proud of. We have professionals both within Foxwoods and outside of Foxwoods who will work to alleviate, hopefully, a lot of the concerns of the citizens of the town, and again, produce a resort that is a great entertainment destination that produces not only taxable revenue for this community, but hopefully wonderful experiences for people to have for many years to come. Although we have very specific ideas at this point, given our recentness, we do not have a detailed design to present in front of you. We would anticipate having that within the next 6 weeks. And certainly this is a process that we hope to be able to work hand in hand with the members of the Milford community in providing. It is not our intention to come up with a design and present it for approval. It's our strong intention to set up shop, and we've got a site identified, and hopefully will be open for business on Main Street next week, where we can allow citizens to come in and work with us to jointly develop this project. There are elements that we know we want to have, but there are some elements that the town may want to have that we'd be willing to work with them on, and that's how we intend this process to happen. So that not only that this is a product of our work, but a product of great community involvement. I will say that I have heard a lot of the concerns of the citizens of the community, and we've had a chance to obviously review the materials that have been produced by Casino Free Milford, and I would like to highly commend that group on identifying all of the things that one should be concerned about when a project of this nature comes to town. I can only say that they're a very talented group of individuals, and we hope to have the benefit of their hard work as we proceed, because the issues that concern the folks of Milford and Casino Free Milford are also issues that concern a casino operator. Obviously, in order to have a successful operation, you cannot have traffic problems, water problems, sewage problems, or crime or things of that nature. The success of a development project in a resort like this is about having something that's clean, safe, fun, easily accessed, and something that everybody enjoys visiting. And that's why I'd like to say that we really don't view what we're proposing as a casino. We really view it as a fully integrated resort and community center, and that's our intention. So it is not our intention to come here and you know, slap a large gaming-oriented project in the middle of a town like Milford. It's our intention to do something that absolutely represents the community and is something that, again, everybody can feel good about. I do have a presentation which I'll go through, which highlights some of the things I'd like to mention because we are new. I don't know how many people are familiar with Foxwoods, but unlike what we do here, Foxwoods is a very large facility. It's actually the largest resort casino in North America. We are in Mashantucket, Connecticut, right outside of Milford, for those of you who've been there. Just to give you an idea of what we operate, our complex is over 8.5 million square feet. It actually has 6 individual casinos with over 340,000 square feet of gaming space. We do operate over 6,000 slot machines and 350 table games. So we're very astute at what it's like to run a world-class gaming operation. But more importantly, we also have world-class resort amenities. We operate over 2,200 luxury hotel rooms. We have over 30 restaurants and bars. We have 2 great theaters with over 5,500 seats. 2 world-class golf courses. Actually, one of our golf courses was just mentioned in Golf Magazine today as it was one of the nicest golf courses in the United States. And we also operate luxury retail shops, bowling alleys, lounges, and many more things. Simply, there's something for everyone to do at Foxwoods. Even last year, we had an ice skating rink for families, and we operate a number of amenities for younger citizens. We are one of the largest employers in the state of Connecticut. We have over 8,000 employees. 6,000 of those actually reside within the state of Connecticut, which is pretty impressive given how proximate we are to Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And 5,400 are from the actual county that we operate in. And there are a multitude of job opportunities from entry level to executive. And I heard the comment that casinos tend to have low-paying jobs. That's really not the full picture, because when you look at a casino operation, many of our employees are tipped employees, and while their base salaries don't reflect their full salaries. So in the case of a dealer or a server, their base salary may be less than half of what that person makes on an annual basis. So we do have quite a few high-paying jobs in the casino business, both at the executive and non-executive level, and we think that that's something that we can bring to this community. We do have a very experienced team with a lot of local knowledge. Over a third of our customer base comes from this area, so we think we know the citizens of southeastern Massachusetts, very well. As I mentioned, we've been in the business for over 20 years. I myself have been in casino operations since the late 80s, and I've had the opportunity to work for places like Trump Hotels and Tropicana, and I've been in a number of markets, so I think my experience is well regarded. I did hear the comment about Foxwoods' financial condition. One of the things that I'm known for is being a financial turnaround executive, and the reason I came to Foxwoods was to resolve their financial condition, and we will be closing within the next 2 to 3 weeks on a restructuring which puts Foxwoods in great financial condition, where we're eliminating quite a bit of our indebtedness. We're reducing our interest expense considerably. We'll have maturities in our debt which go from 7 to 35 years, and we'll have substantial capital to invest not only in Foxwoods but in outside projects, which is why the timing of this project is very good for us. So all of our financial problems are well behind us, and we look forward to growing our brand and growing our operations. We did immediately go out and hire Alan Kronberg to be our property president. Alan, in addition to having over 40 years of resort experience, also is someone who's got a lot of experience here in Massachusetts and has been very involved in community service and politics throughout the years. Alan has been spending a lot of time up here meeting with community leaders and citizens, and think that Alan brings a lot of value to this town, and is somebody who you'll get to know and like as we proceed. And as we should mention, we do have the full breadth of the Foxwoods Executive Committee, which is over 8 people. Many of them are here today with over 20 years' experience working for some of the largest resorts and casinos in the United States. We are talking to several partners to help alleviate some of the concerns. Stantec is a group that we're talking about with regard to some design and engineering consulting services. Obviously a very strong firm, very well regarded. We hope to work with them. Tetra Tech, I think, has done a fair amount of work up here already, is working with us on our traffic and infrastructure analysis, as well as our highway interchange issues, and water, wastewater, and sewage are all things that they've been working on very heavily, and we're confident we can come up with the right solutions for. To give you some initial thoughts, and I know I mentioned we're going to develop it over time as to what we envision the Massachusetts casino to look like. Obviously, we would brand it Foxwoods, and all of the resources that Foxwoods currently has now would be available to this project. So clearly, we have a database of over 3 million people. Like I say, a third of them reside in this area. We have expertise that we can provide. We have capital that we can provide, and we would really view the properties as existing as sister properties, hopefully benefiting from one another. I think people know where this site is. We are planning to locate this right off of I-495 in clearly an area that has no development. So we hope to be able to do this with as little disruption to the community as possible. We do anticipate the project being over $1 billion with a substantial amount of gaming space, but also a substantial amount of amenities. We do envision a 350 to 400 room luxury hotel with a number of specialty restaurants, entertainment venues, and other amenities. I will say that we always look to local operators when we pick things like entertainment, restaurant, and retail, and to the extent that there are businesses available here that would like to join us, we would hope that they would do so. We also support other businesses because clearly the citizens of this community we hope will be our customers. So at Foxwoods we do spend a lot of time investing in local businesses. Obviously the folks that work at our casino, due to certain regulations and rules that we have as operators, aren't allowed to use those facilities. So those, if we have 3,000 some odd workers, they would be people looking to the local community, restaurants, bars, housing establishments, and things of that nature to, to frequent. We think there are many benefits to having a resort in the casino. For example, in the little town of Mystic, we've invested over $3 billion in capital in building our facility. We've contributed over $3.5 billion to the state of Connecticut in terms of what we paid in slot taxes. We spent over $250 million annually in goods and services. We always look to work with local suppliers, so right now just under $75 million a year is spent with local suppliers from our facility, which we're very proud of. As I mentioned, we do a lot in terms of charitable giving and support. We've contributed over $100 million in-kind donations and almost $100 million in cash donations to local charities and businesses to support their operations. Places that we've worked with, for example, you may know of the Mystic Aquarium, where we make substantial annual contributions to support their activities, and we actually have a Foxwoods tank there with a couple of really cute sea lions, if anyone has a chance to go there, but it's a neat thing. But we do a lot of that, and one of the things that I'm personally very involved in is healthcare. We're looking to develop partnerships to have clinics and healthcare facilities at Foxwoods that are state-of-the-art. I was very impressed with what the town of Milford has done with its healthcare facility and the work with Dana-Farber, and those are the types of things that we would hope to get involved in and contribute to as we move forward. We do, as I mentioned, we do share with the community and the citizens of Casino-Free Milford with regard to issues that they've mentioned, and we feel confident we can mitigate them. Obviously, crime is something everybody gets concerned about. As you can imagine, we have a substantial number of employees that are both security and police employees. We actually have state police employees on our property. We really do not have high instances of crime. I don't think that there's ever been a direct correlation between crime in a casino and a community. There have been a number of studies that have been published, and I've read them all, and it seems like crime can be more attributed to population and economics and things of that nature. But obviously, we want to have a facility that's known for being very clean and very safe. And communities that are not known as clean and safe suffer. One could look at places like Atlantic City and some other areas that have difficulty with those areas, and they don't prosper. So for us to prosper, we know crime has to be at a minimum, and we would do everything we can to do that. Obviously, convenience to our property and traffic. We've obviously been spending the last few weeks driving around Milford. We know that the roadways would need to be improved. We would obviously work to improve intersections to the extent that we can. Clearly to get an exit ramp off of I-495 that would go to our property, and if that had to be done through an existing road like Route 16, we would do that. But we're going to be working with the Department of Transportation here in Massachusetts, as well as the Federal Highway Association, to come up with the right solution for that, and we think that's achievable. Clearly, we know that there's a shortage of water. We would hope to work with the private water company here in Milford and help and spend our money to improve their infrastructure, improve their operations. I know there are some issues with regard to rate, so hopefully we could work with that company to make them a bigger and better company, and one that could not only service our facility, but better service the people of Milford. And the same thing with sewer, to the extent that people are on septic tanks and things of that nature, we'd work to develop, those infrastructures so that people could get a better sewer experience. And then I guess the biggest thing that people worry about is what's going to be the impact on my property value. It's been our experience that on an overall basis, because of the influx of capital, because of the influx of population, casinos tend to drive up, not down. I guess if you're the house right next to the casino, it might be a little different, but tend to drive, and we don't have that problem because we're on the other side of the highway, drive up property values. And I know that we have looked at the decline in property values in this community over the last few years, and we think that's something that we could work with the citizens to help improve. Obviously, it's in all our best interest that our community feel good economically and have a robust experience. We are, as I mentioned, 100% committed, to our community. I think the most important bullet on this page is the second to last one that says, we want to develop a Foxwoods, Massachusetts as a New England resort. Just by way of background, I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. I spent most of my childhood in this area. I lived in Gloucester, vacationed in all the great beaches we have here, and it would be very much our goal to do something that resembled New England and not Las Vegas or Macau or Singapore or something of that nature. We will be working with local designers to come up with that, and as I said, community input is critical. But as I mentioned, we invest heavily in our local community. We have proven that we have an ability to execute projects well and with quality and with class. And again, we're comfortable that we could have the first New England-style resort that serviced the gaming community that, again, we could all be proud of. We do intend to have, and it was mentioned earlier, transparency. We would love to have a very, very public process. Again, we want to do this hand in hand with everybody. We want everybody in this room, if we were to come to fruition with this project, to feel very good about what we accomplished. We will be opening up a storefront hopefully next week right here on Main Street, not too far from this very room, so that we can have people come in on a daily basis. We will be conducting public forums to discuss the issues with people and get them comfortable. And obviously, we'll be working with the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, and we'll also be setting up an active website so that people who don't have the ability to come and see us in person can talk to us via the internet. So with that, I just want to once again say thank you very much. We know we have a lot of work to do. We have a great team. We have a lot of energy. We have a proven ability to execute projects of this nature very well, and we would hope to work with all of you to hopefully produce a world-class facility that benefits us economically and socially. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before I turn it over to the board, let me just say, and I understand, I guess, that you've come into this process late, but the fact of the matter is, this town has been dealing with this particular proposal since 2009. And I think the time is past for glossy pictures and nice, wonderful things. I think, particularly with the time frame that the Gaming Commission has set up, we need to see some specifics. Mm-hmm. We need to know exactly how you're going to be dealing with the issues that have been identified and have been identified for quite some time. Have you reviewed the impact statements that our town boards and committees provided in 2009?
Yeah, we've had a chance to review those, and we agree. We know the time is now to come up with this. We know now is not the time for glossy pictures. We are rolling up our sleeves. We can only give you an answer in a responsible way, so we don't want to come here and put things in front of you that we haven't fully researched and that we're not comfortable with. So if we can't get there, then I guess that's the misfortune, but we'll certainly die trying. But we do understand that you need those answers. I deeply wish I was here a year ago. I know time is against us, but we understand what you need, but we have to do it in a responsible way. I can't give you answers that we don't feel good about or that haven't been fully researched.
Let me just summarize some of these issues that were identified, and this goes back to a memo of December 18th, 2009. And what this board requested is, for the lack of a better term, impact statements or reports from all of the various town boards and committees as to how the proposal, which was put forth at that time, which, by the way, probably had more specific information than we've got tonight. First off, the Historical Commission noted that an archaeological survey will be required because probably the land that you're looking at is a sensitive area that contains Native American sites. That's of concern to the Historical Commission. Mm-hmm. The Conservation Commission has indicated that the proposal did not take into account the environmental and topographic physical constraints on the property. Consequently, the usable area for development will be substantially less than the 200 acres identified by the proponent. and no information has been provided to demonstrate the feasibility of a through road from Route 16 to Route 85. Portions of the property contain rare and endangered species protected by the National Heritage Endangered Species Program. The proponent should provide a more developed conceptual design that takes into consideration the environmental and topographic physical constraints. The Highway Department indicated, again, back in 2009, the leading area of concern would be traffic. With more traffic comes more trash, wear and tear on the road surface. The Planning Board, through the town planner, indicated a number of areas. Traffic. Route 16 and 85 capacities could be compared to build-out traffic generation. Separate access from Route 495 needs to be investigated. Environmental issues, utilities, zoning. There's going to have to be a creation of a new zoning district. We received correspondence from outside entities, the Milford Water Company, which is a private corporation not affiliated with the town. Based on daily volumes of water currently utilized by casinos located in Connecticut, daily water demands could approach and/or exceed 1 to 1.5 million gallons per day. This volume of water is currently not available from existing permanent resources and would require the resort to seek an alternate supply. National Grid. We reached out to National Grid. One of the proposed buildings lies in the middle of one of our transmission lines. I would like to, the representative from National Grid indicated they would like to start discussing the project with the developers now. In some cases, relocating a transmission line has taken 2 or 3 years. Town engineer identified a number of issues, again, all along the same lines. The fire department, increased call volume, and other incidents. So it goes on, and this was communicated to the developer in 2009. We anticipated that some work would be done in these areas and that we would get some specific information as to how you're going to combat these issues. Some of them seem insurmountable.
Well, Mr. Chairman, well, I'll say I know those do seem like a lot of issues, and we're aware of all those issues. None of those issues are issues that we don't typically deal with this type of development project. So all of those are very, very typical. You know, obviously at Foxwoods we deal with things like Native American artifacts. We actually, I think, just found an artifact on our site that's over 20,000 years old. So we've dealt with that. We've dealt with endangered species. All of the entities that you mentioned are entities that we've been in contact with and we're discussing with. I know Tetra Tech has talked with National Grid. I know we have meetings set up to discuss some of the issues with the DOT, as well as the water companies. So I agree that all those, and again, I wish I had been here in 2009. You know, I wasn't. We are aware of all those things. They're very typical for this type of a project. I feel comfortable that our team will be able to come up with the right solutions. I know you're anxious to get those details tonight. You know, we need to do work to get you the right answer. Unfortunately, that work was not done. The pictures that you mentioned or the plans that you mentioned, I've obviously seen. They're very, very bare bones. I mean, it's a picture of a fantasy type facility. Would not be what I would present to this community. Again, looks more like a Vegas casino than a New England casino. You know, I could have come here and presented, you know, 50 some odd sets of plans that I have sitting in my desk drawer, but that wouldn't show this community the respect it deserves, nor would it be how I approach a project. So we're aware of those issues, and in short time we'll have answers to those when they've been fully researched with the right people. And it won't be a long period of time. It'll be a short period of time.
And before I turn it over to my colleagues, I guess the troubling aspect that I have sitting on this side of the table, regardless whether it's you or a previous partner or whomever, no substantive work seems to have been done. And that in and of itself seems to be a misrepresentation to what we heard back in '09 and '10. So I don't know what I can hear. I don't know what I can hear from you that's going to reassure me that work is going to be done in a much tighter and impractical time frame because of the regulations set down by the state than what happened previously.
Well, all I can offer is the following. We're equally as disappointed. We came into this project, expecting things were further along than what they were. That having been said, we're here, and we think it's a tremendous opportunity. All I can ask you to do, which is why I presented what I presented, is look at the track record of the people who are now before you. Look at what we've accomplished. We do have a track record of developing over $3 billion of resort facilities on time, on budget, in a difficult environment. Foxwoods is built on something called a cedar swamp. There's plenty of Native American remnants. It's a very, very difficult place to build. We're going to be starting construction on a 300,000 square foot outlet center mall there in July. We're redeveloping almost 100,000 square feet internally. We're constantly developing. We're constantly getting permits. We're constantly working with commitments and deadlines. We have over 8,000 employees. We have an army that we can dedicate to this, as opposed to a handful of partners in the past. And that army is geared up and ready to go.
And that's fine. And I appreciate work you may have done other places or be doing other places. But, to be frank, I care about Milford.
Right.
And I want to see work get done here.
Yep.
There's not going to be an unlimited leash here. At some point, a determination is going to have to be made whether or not this is even feasible in the time frame that we have, given the lack of work that has occurred.
Well, we're 100% aligned in that because we don't want to waste any of our resources either. We have plenty to do. This is a great opportunity. I only offer up what we've done in the past as demonstration that we can execute on time and on budget. We will be dedicating the full breadth. My entire management team is here tonight, not at Foxwoods. They're here because this is the most important thing on our plate. Everybody drove up here individually. Our IT guy actually canceled taking his son to BC so he could be here. But we're incredibly serious about this. And we'll demonstrate that to you. So we need a little bit of room to do that, but not a lot. We have Alan here. We'll have shop set up, tomorrow. Come on in and see what you guys can watch the sausage being made as it happens. We're not going to hide anything. We'll let you know exactly where we are, and it's in both of our interests to figure out in a quick period of time whether this can get done or not.
Okay, because before we leave, personally, I'm going to be asking our consultants at the end of this presentation to take whatever information we have, which admittedly is not much, but really give us a tight preliminary report as to the feasibility of this project. Yep. So with that, let me turn it over to my colleagues. Dean, let me move the microphone for you.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Gene, could you give this to Mr. Butera, please? That's the report that Chairman Murray was speaking about.
Thank you very much.
I think in Milford, it's a pretty special community, and we've done some great things here working together. And trust and relationships are most important. And it seems like we're starting from, ground zero, because the face that we had before was working with us for about 3 years and all that. And now we have a whole new team. So this is the first time that I've met you, Mr. Butera, and also. But I'd like to comment on, I'll try not to be redundant, but just going on what the chairman said, we received that report from the town officials back in 2009 when the initial presentation was made. And, we've done this many times with developments, whether it be a power plant or 3 major industrial parks, new storage system. So, we know what we're doing in Milford. And the town officials and boards, once again, because I think you have to hear it, because as 3 members of the board, I, for one, have to be sure and have to be really confident that the information that we have is up to date up front, so that we can make a recommendation
I understand.
to the residents. Okay, so the individuals that, the police and fire chief, highway surveyor, town engineer, superintendent of schools, town planner, Milford Water Company, Conservation Commission, Board of Health, National Grid, as the chairman said, the Industrial Development Commission, Historical Commission. Those are some of the people that we asked for initial input. You know, the major vital concerns delineated even back then: traffic, water, sewer, electricity, effect on the roads. Other environmental issues such as wetlands protection, the wildlife endangered species protection, utilities, creation of a new zoning district that would trigger public hearings before the planning board, and there would be 2 articles in this very room, if it does go that far, that will require 2/3 vote. And I don't know if you know the town meeting system,
Right.
but 2/3 vote is very, very difficult to obtain. The impact on the schools, housing needs, the numerous and sensitive concerns of both chiefs regarding police and fire protection, the financial strength of the company. So that's what we'll be asking our consultants to delve into. So, you know, detailed, comprehensive scientific analyses and studies need to occur for further evaluation and comment by the town officials. You know, I think we need to be totally upfront, serious, honest, and realistic. And, you know, if these requests are not done completely and to our satisfaction, then I think everybody has to reconsider what we're trying to do here,
I agree.
okay?
Yeah, I completely agree.
We don't want to waste anybody's time,
I understand.
because it won't work.
Yeah. Look, all I can say is...
I'm not through
Oh,
yet,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Vitale,
I apologize.
okay? You know, if we work backwards, and I think the chairman touched on this, we've also had numerous discussions with our representative, and some of the other people that we've talked to. I always thought this process would take about a year, if it's done right. 7 or 8 months for the studies, 4 months to present the information to the town meeting members, to the residents, to the neighborhoods, meeting with people and all that. I just don't see how, unless the Gaming Commission, my opinion now, I mean, we've had a recent development in the town of Milford. It was a facility, and that won't, I mean, the traffic, probably 100 extra cars a day. And I think the traffic study took about 6 weeks. So imagine what we're looking at here. And if we go backwards, if the referendum question is in October, that means everything has to be completed by August. And that, to me, is, I don't know about that. Can you possibly engage all the professionals and consultants required to perform and complete all this work, analyses, and studies, without any change in dates? I mean, the Gaming Commission, I think they're doing a great job to protect the people of Massachusetts. A couple of months ago, they were talking about maybe instead of referendums being held in October, because communities needed more time in order for that comprehensive study and analyses, they were thinking maybe the referendum vote would take place in the spring, and that would give everybody more time, because I think the worst thing in the world is to rush anything and to force things down people's,
Right.
well, not throats, because that's not going to work in Milford. So if we're looking, you know, for August, then all this work has to be done, and it has to be evaluation by the selectmen, the town boards, committees, officials, and the people of Milford. You also have to develop a mitigation plan with the 4 or 5 towns adjacent to Milford. So that in itself would probably take 2 or 3 months, because we probably have Holliston, Hopkinton, Medway, Upton, Mendon, and there could be other communities that would solicit to be part of that. So before the referendum vote, you know, you'll need to work in the neighborhoods. You talked about having an office. I think that's good, because, you know, up to this point, it's been like a ghost. And
Right.
I think an office, at least will have a presence. You know, people who walk on Main Street can drop in and just say, who you are, who are you? You know, what type of information do you have? Because I think that's how we do things in Milford. And then one of the gentlemen talked about When we had the Enron project, that wasn't as large as this, but it was the same type of concept. All the town officials were involved. It was textbook style. We took about a year to work with the Enron people. We had all kinds of consultants. We visited places. When all the information was ready, we had numerous informational hearings in town. For example, we had 2 sessions in this building. We had a session at the library. We had a session at the senior center. We had a session at one of the schools. There was all kinds of information that was readily available for the public because, it's a total education process. And, one of the things that we also can have, and I think the chairman alluded to that also, like, for example, traffic that could be a deal breaker right away. If you're looking at 495, there has to be flyovers. Now, there are a lot of things that are restricting that at some point, at this time. So, once again, our people have to look at that. Because if that doesn't come through, then the situation is over. So, as far as I'm concerned, as one individual, these are the things that, I think I've been open-minded. I've always said that there are people in Milford, and not to have any disrespect with the other people from out of town, but we'll have a mitigation system, because that has to be part of the host agreement. So that'll have to be done. But my first priority is the people of Milford.
Right.
So, we can't have any promissory notes. If something is said, like, for example, whether it be water or traffic or flyovers, that stuff has to be cast in stone. That stuff has to be concrete. It's not like something that would have a referendum question.
Right.
And then that would be, well, that'll be done, a year down the road. No.
Yeah.
We won't accept that
Right.
type of discussion. So these are the things that are important. I think personally, if nothing changes and the referendum has to be held in October and everything has to be done 60 days prior to that, I just don't see how all this stuff can be done. I just don't see that, envision that. So, please, I guess we appreciate the applause, but it's not necessary. We're trying to do our jobs to the best of our ability and to do what's right for the town of Milford. And after that, it'll be the mitigation with the community, surrounding community. So those are the things that are most important to me.
Yeah.
We have, like I said, we have people in this room, the chief, both chiefs, 2 of the best in the state. We have a town engineer who's 30 years experience. We have a town planner who's been involved. So, we know how to get things done. We know how to work with consultants. But the main thing is that, we want to be told up front, we want these studies to be comprehensive, totally exhaustive. We want the best people.
Yeah.
We want monies to be spent. If we're going to go that way, let's do it right. But please, if, like the chairman said, at some point, if it can't be done, going forward would be superfluous. Let's stop it right away. But that's what we want in Milford.
Mr. Selectman, I just offer, clearly we have those same issues. If we can't get to, affirmative conclusions on all those things, we can't have a successful project, and we'll have wasted a lot of time and money on this. Well, what I will say is, we feel as though we have a good team. We have a humble team. We've been very impressed by the people that we've met here in the town, and we think with their cooperation, we can work together to, meet a lot, if not all, those deadlines. Maybe we get some flexibility along the way, maybe we don't. But, clearly if we can't get, correct answers and thorough answers that make sense for a very long period of time, then it doesn't make sense for either you or us to proceed with this. That having been said, we feel like there's an opportunity to do so, and if we're successful and are able to overcome those hurdles, we'll have something that this community can feel very good about. So at this juncture, we want to try. I do feel horrible that this board might have been misled or promised answers in the past that they haven't been given. You know, I don't know what to say about that other than to offer that we won't do that. If we have a problem or an issue that we can't resolve, we'll be very upfront about it, and we'll come clean. You know, and you know, I've grown up in this state, and although Milford isn't a town I spend a lot of time in, I really enjoy it here, and I would hope to be able to come here for many, many years to come, and I certainly don't want to do anything or have my name associated with any project that is not well regarded. So it's not worth my time and money, it's not worth your effort, and we'll either
Scott,
do this together.
I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll turn on the microphone and make it easier to be heard. Appreciate the fact that you're here today. You gentlemen are here today, and you have your team with you as well. This I view as a little bit more sincere effort. Unfortunately, as you can see and hear from the other members' comments, you're suffering some of the penalties and pains of, frankly, what I consider a lot of hand-waving up to this point. Commitments were made by partners of yours, Mr. Nunes and Mr. Warner, who remain partners of yours. So for that, you represent the continuum of that effort. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until recently that I took a very definitive stand saying that I'm not in favor of this, in part because of that experience and those relationships. Certainly slick and certainly smooth, but frankly, when it came time for results and delivery, it just frankly wasn't there. So I'll try not to be redundant with the other comments that were made, but obviously we're working on a compressed schedule. We've talked about that. There's a great deal this community needs, and there's disappointment in our voices for a reason. We didn't have to be in this position with this schedule with your partners. But they are your partners, and so, you know, some of the things that Brian's talked about, I'm not going to repeat in terms of some of the concerns that the community has. Some of the things that Dino talked about as it related to Enron. You know, there's a facility with a much larger footprint, and when I read your presentation at $823,000 in property taxes, that facility with a much smaller footprint and probably 50 vehicle trips a day is contributing $1 million to the town. Mm-hmm. The town is in an enviable position where it's never had an override. It's never had a debt exclusion. It does that through good fiscal management and sound budgeting. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to say that in part because of all the people that attend the meetings here in this great hall, they make sure that they're watchful and they pay attention to what's happening as they are tonight. You know, I want to say something else because I'm not sure, you know, it feels like an elephant in the room, and I'm flabbergasted by the fact that this board received a letter from your partner. And it received a letter from your partner that made reference to not having faith in its partners. And it talked about the entity, FCX, in ways that it didn't put it in the best light. I guess that's probably the best way to look at it. Most people here have probably read it. It's been in the Globe and every local newspaper. I don't know what to say about that. I'm still, it's mind-boggling that we would receive a letter like that from your partners. I wanted to say it because it's a heck of a way to introduce this project, and you gentlemen, who, by the way, I just want to say, I take your comments at face value, as I did Mr. Nunes. I have no reason to not think of you as honorable people who are good to your word. But when I look at the information that I've got in front of me and the timetable, it's difficult to get beyond. As the other members talked about, I'm a little disappointed that we couldn't be, I'm not a little disappointed, I'm a lot disappointed that I wanted more concrete proposals. Timelines of construction, clear and convincing evidence of financial stability given Foxwood's history and difficulty with debt, disclosures of the individuals involved, where people live, where they are incorporated, who their directors and shareholders are. I'm expecting this type of information, and I'm adding in addition to the types of things that Chairman Murray just raised from our boards. Detailed explanation of what the $1 billion investment is. How much of that is construction estimate? How much of that is land acquisition? I'd like to break that down a little bit, because when we throw out a number of $1 billion, it can be in a lot of different places. And some of what your mitigation assumptions are, I'm going to assume that you people have been in business a long time. You're a workout man, so that you've got some assumptions as it relates to mitigation. You did your due diligence. Prior to joining into this partnership, you understood where Mr. Nunes and Mr. Warner were, and you also understood the timetable. You understood the challenge ahead of you with your eyes open, I'm going to guess. So you provided minimal information with regard to the size of the facility. We don't know if it's 500 rooms or 450 or 350. We don't know, when we talk about the number of employees, how many of those employees are full-time, what their rate of pays are, and whether they'll receive benefits and what types of benefits. Because those are the types of things that make those employees who are parents of school children whole when times get tough. I can say this, and I've said it to other people. Had Milford had a casino 10 years ago within its borders, it would have been laying off Milford residents, because we know from experience and what we've seen with the industry, it suffers from some of the same things within an economic climate such as this that other businesses do, right? Declining revenues has certainly been a part of your business, much like other parts of the economy. So while I tried not to be redundant, because there's a great deal in what my colleagues have said, it was that I hoped we would have here tonight. In the absence of that, I'm going to join my colleagues in saying I think we ought to take a very hard look at the schedule. I'm glad that the chairman talked about needing to see a timetable and working with our consultants on that timetable, because it's one thing to do a traffic study. It's one thing to do an environmental assessment. It's another thing to process that data and to allow others who have been outside of that process to look on it and see the same things you see, to give it the credibility that you feel you're going to be presenting in those studies. I'm just very, very concerned and highly skeptical that this could ever be done in the time frame. And I think you know what a challenge that is as well, as you've talked about. So I'm not going to add any more to the comments other than what I'd like to hear is just a little bit more from you, Scott, as it relates to the timetable. You mentioned 6 weeks. And you have to, six weeks before you come back with something substantive, more substantive, if that's a good way to paraphrase what you've said. I'll apologize in advance for my skepticism, but you understand it. When somebody from the casino or gaming community, casino, represents something here, I'm going to ask for more detail. So before you walk away, I'd like to understand what your team thinks you'll be bringing back in 6 weeks.
Sure. And again, we intend to present things when they've been fully researched and we feel comfortable with them. All the things you mentioned, it's not like there hasn't been work done and we don't have thoughts on it. So I can tell you that of the $1 billion, of development, roughly, more than 2/3 of that would be in hard development costs. As you can imagine, there's also a substantial fee, that has to be paid for the license and financing fees, but a preponderance of that money would be spent for the development. With regard to, employees, 80% of our employees, typically are hourly employees that get salaries and tips. The other 20% are hourly employees. The other 20% are salaried employees with substantial salaries. Our benefit packages are second to none in the industry. I think our average employee contributes something in the neighborhood of 8% to their benefit program, where the norm throughout our country right now is 25 to 30%. So we have very, very generous plans which we take care of people, because our employees are our best asset, and it's important that they're healthy and motivated. We have, if you were to look at the decline in revenues in Foxwoods over the last few years because of new competition and the economy itself, there's a substantial difference between that and the amount of people we've employed. So we have maintained substantial employment even throughout the bad times, because we view it as investing in our future. So, we haven't had the large layoffs. I don't think we've had, anything in that nature. We've had some attrition and we've had some pruning, and more of that's been because we had employees that weren't up to par than we've had actual layoffs because of the economy, because we believe in longer term. With regard to our finances and our disclosures, I've obviously filed an application with the Gaming Commission. I've been licensed in 6 some odd states. I can get you all the information on my background personally and professionally, as well as my partners. That's been disclosed with the Massachusetts Gaming Commission already. With regard to our financing, we actually just got rated by both Moody's and S&P. You could go online and read the ratings of our company's debt and the outlook of our future, which I think they find very stable. We have had a very public process with regard to our restructuring. So all of that information is out there, and we think we could work with your advisors to demonstrate our financial strength. So while I know it appears as though we're not putting specifics in front of you today, it's not like a lot of work hasn't already gone into that. And hopefully we'll get you the answers you need. But if we don't, then we don't get to move on. We get that. That's the rules of engagement here. And like I said, we got to do something that all of you feel good about, because we don't want to have a situation where we have a facility that the local community doesn't support. I've never been involved in that, and I wouldn't want to be involved in that. So I sympathize and agree with everything that you said, and if we can't get there, then we accept the fact that we have to move on.
Okay.
And with regard to the issue with the partner, it's an issue with one partner, I suppose, not all of them, just one. And sometimes, out of respect for the parties involved, we weren't involved in that dispute, and I can't really comment on what led to that. Although I can just say we also wish it didn't happen. We hope to move forward with all the partners on a consensual basis if we can. But if we can't, we don't want to set the opportunity aside because of one specific problem with an individual, and we just have to move past that.
Well, it would be certainly my hope, if we're going to work with you on a professional basis, that we'd receive no more letters like that from the partners. I can't control what others do. I can tell you that we'll do everything we can, as we did in this case, to prevent that. Okay.
And I think if you see the specifics of the letter, you'll see that we took action to try and prevent that from happening, but it is what it is. I'm sorry.
Mr. Bacera, just one other comment. The language I used and the types of things I asked for came right out of the Gaming Commission. So they're not new, they're not unexpected, and they're all things that one would be expected to present, not only to the Gaming Commission, but certainly the types of things we've asked for are things that we'd expect the community to have access to. Can you be more clear on what you intend to bring in 6 weeks? Because I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that we'll be working on all of the issues that we discussed, as well as the design of the project. And what we bring forward, we'll bring you what we have, no matter where we are. Hopefully we'll be complete, but hopefully we'll have at least preliminary solutions for the issues and how we can mitigate them, as well as discussion of detailed plans and the design of the facility.
Okay.
And we'll work with you from now until that date, and if we'll get request lists, we'll work with your advisors to identify whatever questions you might have, and whatever's on that list we'll address.
Okay, yeah, the questions probably aren't going to be new ones, and we can refresh, certainly. We have good counsel so that can work with you to expedite anything. I just want to make sure that at no point anybody who's dealt with this community comes back to us later and says we weren't working in good faith or working responsibly. I expect that people will get to you pretty quickly, and I just want to manage those communications and make sure those communications go through our council. That's why they're there.
Yep.
That's why we took them as advisors, and they're very good at what they do.
Right. We agree.
Yeah, I remain underwhelmed, I suppose, and that we're here at this point, and I still can't get more of what your team intends to present in 6 weeks. But I respect that. I'm not going to keep pressuring you or beat you up about that, because that's not frankly fair either. So.
No, I completely understand, and look, if I were on where you are, I'd feel the same way. And all I can say is I completely understand, and we'll do everything we can to resolve that and change that. But we get it, we understand. We know what we have to do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the time.
Just had a quick question. As I was going through this package, on page 7, where you list the tax contributions, the second bullet item, is that accurate? It says over $800,000 paid annually in sales tax, property tax, excise tax, and licensing fee?
Yes, yes.
Because, I mean, I don't know, that number just seems small.
Well, we at Mashantucket, we're a sovereign nation, so we don't have property taxes. So most of it, and the sales taxes that we have, we give back to the state of Connecticut. Okay. So really, you're talking about a 1% sales tax. Okay. So if we were to have property taxes and things of that nature, obviously we intend that number here to be considerably higher.
We do too.
Yeah. I mean, multiply times more than double digits higher. Yeah. So we don't, that's just to give you a little flavor as to what's going on at Foxwoods.
Okay. You certainly understand, I think, the frustration that this board has, particularly myself and my colleagues. All of us, we had anticipated that some work was being done towards these issues that are obvious and have been obvious for quite some time. All of us are working within the context of a law that's brand new. It's really being formulated in terms of regulations as this process goes along. So there's not a whole lot of precedent for us to lean on as we go forward into this situation. The gaming law, as you know, does have a right to vote by the community. And that's something that I value very highly and I respect very highly. However, it is not an unqualified right to vote. It's qualified on this board reaching a host community agreement. And what I have tried to do is try to remain as fair as possible and allow the community and this board to have the access to as much information as possible, both pro and con, regarding this development, so that at the appropriate time, this board and perhaps the citizens of Milford can make an informed, educated decision. Right. The lack of work that's been done on behalf of the developer makes it very, very difficult to try to achieve that process. If at some point I don't feel that this project is feasible or that the benefit does not outweigh the cost, I have no qualms in not entering into a host agreement. And
we agree, nor should you.
So towards that end, and what I'd like to do is what I indicated earlier, is at this point I'd really like to hand it off to our consultants to have them work with you. And I want to ask Sid and Kim just a couple of questions in terms of the time frame, because when I look back on the letter that you gave us on March 6, you identified a period of April 1st to June 1st in terms of the consultants working with town departments and also the proponent to identify impacts and costs. Is that still a feasible time frame for you to give us back some meaningful information as to whether this project could possibly have legs or not?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I can go on, but the answer is yes.
Okay.
Well,
Succinct lawyers are best, right?
I think all of us appreciate that.
All right.
So with that, I want to thank you for being here tonight. I think it was good in the sense that we were able to really communicate the feelings that this board has and where we're coming from as representatives of the town of Milford. And clearly, you have a lot of work to do in a short period of time to really justify the words that you've given us.
Right.
But we'll allow you that opportunity, absolutely.
Okay. Well, we are very grateful for that opportunity, very grateful to be here today. I want to thank everybody for showing up. It's really wonderful to see how much this community cares about this area. And, we'll either, like I said from the start, we'll either do something that we all feel very good about, know will get done in a very fundamentally sound way, or we'll walk away as good friends.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to take just a 5-minute recess to allow everybody to circulate. So, Dan, if you could just turn off the cameras for 5 minutes, please. And someone who can really clear out a room, our new town administrator. So, Rick, welcome to the board. We didn't get a chance to officially welcome you and all the hubbub, but you've done a great job so far in the short time you've been here. And this meeting, I think, went very smoothly, due in large part to the logistics that you put together with the staff. So thank you very much. So we're eager to hear your first report. We'll give you the microphone.
I'll get the other one.
All right, get your own microphone. That's a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It has only been a week, but just a few things. I did meet with Mike Nicholson, Commissioner on Disability, along with Mike Santora and Scott Christopherly of the Highway Surveyor. The Commission is seeking to secure use of a privately owned space along the Upper Charles Trail and try to create a family-oriented trail rest area. It's right off of Medway Street. I guess there has been conversation with Town Council on a revocable license agreement, and we'll keep the board updated. The police roof is in its final plans, have been presented. We'll go out to bid on April 17th. Filed sub-bids are due May 3rd. General bids are due May 17th. Pre-bid meeting will be April 26th. The construction anticipated period is June 17th through July 12th. All budgets under jurisdiction of the Board of Selectmen are on target for fiscal year 2013, except as previously noted. An update on the Route 140 Water Street traffic signal. It's set, work is set to begin this week. Town Town engineer Mike Santora spoke with the Mass DOT rep. The contractor has 4 weeks to complete the project. Signals will likely be operational by May 3rd. The town will be responsible for the new wheelchair ramps. Scott Christofouli indicates that schedule should be completed by July 1st. And finally, I just want to thank everyone who turned out last Friday to greet me. It was very nice and a very nice, warm reception. I feel very comfortable coming here in this position, and I want to thank them, and I want to especially thank Liz, Jean, and Lou for setting up the event, and I greatly appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions, David?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have about 50 questions. Number one? No, I'm sorry.
Bill?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to move on in the agenda, and the next item that I'm going to be calling is on our list G4, and we received correspondence from the Milford Council on Aging, and I'll read it as follows. The Milford Senior Center is an outstanding facility, admired and envied by other various towns. Ruth Ann Bleakney, director, was extremely dedicated, working tirelessly on the planning, construction, decoration, and operation of this building. It is the unanimous vote of the Milford Council on Aging to name this beautiful edifice as the Ruth Ann Bleakney Senior Center. The Council on Aging strongly recommends and urges you and other members of the Board of Selectmen for a favorable vote. That's respectfully submitted. Vincent Scucciari, Chairman, Milford Council on Aging, and we have representatives from the council here as well. So we certainly appreciate this. Having served as chairman of the Senior Center Building Committee, I can say without doubt that the beautiful senior center that we have today that serves the elders of our community was the true vision and passion of Ruth Ann Bleakney from the day that I met her, back in 1988, I believe it was, when the senior center was a forgotten, cramped little facility on Winter Street. She fought tirelessly for that project, and it took a considerable amount of time, but the building that is there now is clearly her vision, her building, and as she confronts the greatest challenge of her life, our thoughts and our prayers are certainly with her, and I, for one, absolutely, positively support this recommendation and would like to do it in all due haste. So with that, I will turn it over to the board.
Mr. Chairman, no question on the comments that you've made about Ruth Ann. She's certainly been instrumental and a pivotal factor in that whole senior citizen edifice over the years. I certainly respect the chairman. I respect Stanley Jones, and the only thing I'd ask is if we could just take it under advisement. There's a couple of items I just want to check out, and then I'm sure we could make a decision, Mr. Chairman.
Bill?
Yeah, I don't see an issue with taking it under advisement. I think that can make some sense. It's certainly something, while we're sensitive to some of the challenges Ruth Ann has going on, the naming of a building is something that the council has taken some time with to think through, and certainly I think this board should think through. It's not like we name buildings after people all the time, and I think I can think of actually one case in town. We've had wings named after people in the past, but we do have one school, and that was done a very long time ago, so I want to make sure that we're thoughtful and deliberate in the process as well. So, yeah, I'd second that, my colleague's, Mr. DeBartolome's comment that we take this under advisement right now.
Well, it's something that I would certainly like to act on now. I understand the comments that are made, but time may not be an asset that we have in this particular situation, and certainly there is precedent for this. We have the J.D. Antonio Youth Center, we have the Stacy Middle School, and again, being intimately involved in the construction of this facility, the planning of it, working with Ruth Ann, since the late 1980s. There's no question in my mind that when people come from all over the state to view this edifice, they view her vision. So if that's the feeling of the board, then I will grudgingly defer to it.
But, Mr. Chairman, though, as far as I'm concerned, I just need a couple of days to figure a few things out, but I understand that things have to move here, so I just need a few days to think about something, that's all.
Okay. We'll take that under advisement. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with Ruth Ann and her family as she confronts this personal challenge. Going back on the agenda, we have the town administrator presenting us with the town meeting warrant. We have the summary of articles, and as I looked over it, I am fine with all of them. And I don't know, Rick, do you need us to sign the actual warrant? Okay. Are there any issues with the warrant?
And then we'll go over the articles at the appropriate time, right,
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Have an extra pen, Rick?
Yeah, this is my pen at the top. Yeah.
Oh, okay, my pen just ran out of gas. Uh-oh.
We're good.
Rick, could you give me another one? Give me one. We can retire that.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded to approve the warrant. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Rick, Lou used to take a deposit.
Do you have any old business, Dean?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Bill?
No old business, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Going forward, we have a recommendation on the town engineer's position. Reading from a memo from Lou Salazzi and Mike Santura, the position of town engineer was advertised in the February edition of the Beacon as well as the website, also in the Boston Globe and through the Mass Municipal Engineering Association. 25 applications were received, including a cover letter and resume, which were due by February 22nd. After reviewing the respective resumes, Mr. Salazzi, along with Mr. Santora and also Mr. Villani, interviewed 6 candidates and scheduled a second round of interviews for March 28th, 2013, with 5 candidates. And during that round of interviews, they were joined by Joseph Calagione, a representative of the Planning Board, and Michael Giampetro, a member of the Conservation Commission. And after concluding those 5 interviews, Mr. Santora, Mr. Villani, and Mr. Salazzi believed that Vonnie Maureen Reese possessed the experience, knowledge, and background to support their unanimous recommendation, which was also supported by Mr. Calagione and Mr. Giampetro of the Conservation Commission. So the recommendation is Vonnie Maureen Reese. Rick, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Just briefly, she ES in civil engineering, a master's in engineering, Conservation Commission member, and we just felt that she did have the requisite experience, and again, it was unanimous. It was a very unanimous decision, and the 2 members, as you said, that did come in late, Mr. Giampetro and Mr. Calagione, did agree. That's all.
Okay,
Mr.
great.
Chairman, thank you.
Questions, comments? Dean?
No, Mr. Chairman, I think the process was done very fairly, very openly, and this individual comes to us very highly recommended by the committee, And I think it's also nice to have diversity, and she'll be the first female town engineer that the town has had. And, but the assets are the qualifications and the experience, and I've had some discussions with with Mike Santora, and he definitely says she's top-notch. And she'll have some tough shoes to fill, but with Mike's assistance for a few weeks, I think it'll go a long way. If you want a motion, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion.
Bill?
Yeah, hopefully she's not going to try to wear my shoes, but, no, I looked at her background, and certainly she is well qualified, and I appreciate the work that this committee did to identify this individual, Ms. Reese, and as a professional engineer, her background looks perfectly suited for the things we need. She has experience in Massachusetts with the DEP, not the least of which she travels from Millis through 109, and she'll experience firsthand some of the challenges that we have. So I would second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded to appoint Vonnie Maureen Reese as the new town engineer, and it looks as though the recommendation is effective May 1st, 2013, which will allow a 10-day transition with Mike, as his last workday will be May 10th, 2013. What's the date, Mike?
April 29th, I think we were going to start.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So we're going to do it April 29th, so that'll start on April 29th. Okay?
Yes.
Salary, Mike,
Let's see, it's good.
we don't have to be,
It's got to be pending.
right, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it's just pending the process of finalizing the salary?
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Okay. All set? You got that motion, Gene? All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. And please extend our thanks to Mr. Solazzi for, quarterbacking this process in a very tight time frame, as I'm sure he had many other things to take care of as he was retiring. So, as always, we're very appreciative of the work that he did for this very successful process. Need to have a motion on the renewal of secondhand licenses.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and they are listed as Baza Jewelry and Gifts, Gregory Bowser, DBA Pandora's Box, Central Street Resale, Mr. Nascimento Mendez, DBA Mendez Antiques, Nathan's Jewelers, TJ Collectibles, Inc., This and That Thrift Shop. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded. All those in DBA Mendez Antiques, TJ Collectibles, Inc., and This and That Thrift Shop. Need to have a motion for the renewal of the pool table licenses.
Motion, Mr. Chairman, for doing business as Pins and the Hoboken Citizens Club.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Chairman, bowling alley license for Fun Zone of Milford, doing business as Pins.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have to take a vote on Article 3. I believe what's drawn up here is a 2% cost of living increase as per the Personnel Board, and also other town positions, which is something that I would support.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I agree with the compensation as stated. The only difference I have, and I think I've had this for the past 4 or 5 years is that it's small money, it's symbolic. I think we're okay at the, our salaries are okay at the fiscal year 13 amounts, and hopefully they can be the same as fiscal year 14. And this would be the 5th year that, that our positions have not received a raise. Like I said, it's small money, probably more symbolic, but I think it's better to stay the.
I'd second that, Mr. Chairman.
So you're talking about what?
Freezing the selectman member and chairman at the FY13 rates.
So instead of 83.82, it'll be 82.99. Instead of 74.48, it would remain at 73.74.
Okay, so the motion is for essentially a 2% increase for everyone except the selectmen? Is that what we're talking
I
about?
think the full-time people, salaried and hourly rated positions would receive a 2%. That would be town clerk, town treasurer, tax collector, and highway surveyor. And then the hourly non-rated miscellaneous positions, election workers, clerks, the boards and committees would receive 1%.
Well, that's what the Personnel Board on Article 2, but on Article 3 is the motion that all of the elected officials except the Board of Selectmen receive a 2% salary increase?
If that's what it is, yes.
Okay, and you second that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I oppose. 2 in favor, 1 opposed. Okay. We have a request from the Milford Lions, the Pennies for Sight project, and they would like to conduct a toll road in Milford on May 11th, 2013, at the collection point being the intersection of Route 16 and Route 109 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, consistent with other votes that we've taken, I would typically look to see that the chief approves this, especially when we talk about an intersection like 16 and 109. It's just not a safe area, and when we start putting toll roads and boots and civilians out there, I just worry about somebody's going to get hurt. So,
What? That's been part of the process, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I believe he did sign off
Yeah, the chief signed off on it.
on the permit.
It's right there on the.
Oh, okay, down at the bottom. I'm sorry you added it. Thank you.
sorry.
Yeah, normally, I've seen it in the past where the chief has approved and there's notation up here. That's great.
So chief
Okay, so
signed
I'd second that. Thank you.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. One of our favorite events of the year, Milford Youth Baseball, is going to be having the opening day parade, and it will be April 28th, 2013, which is a Sunday. Start at the Stop and Shop parking lot, go up Main Street to Cedar Street and Rosenfeld Park, starting at 11:30 a.m.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. A request from WMRC to proclaim Louisa Lake off limits for fishing for a period of just 24 hours preceding their annual free fishing derby on April 20th.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We received a memo from the police chief, along with a report from, I believe, Detective Jay Ball, looking to revise the rules and regulations for secondhand dealers. What I'd like to do is ask that we schedule this as a future agenda item for a public hearing, and we can provide notice of the hearing to the secondhand dealers. There's not a whole lot of them, and evaluate it from there. Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll work with Rick to target a date to do that. Okay. We received a memo from Mike Santora on a traffic aids request for Windsor Road. The request was for a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit sign on Windsor Road, and he is indicating the town of Milford does not have the authority to post a speed limit sign without approval from the Mass Department of Transportation. Windsor Road is in an area considered to be thickly settled. In accordance with the Massachusetts traffic law, the speed limit is set at 30 miles an hour. That's General Laws, Chapter 90, Section 17. Mike has recommended stricter enforcement of the existing 30-mile-per-hour speed limit and placement of the mobile radar unit that displays motorist speed. So that's been copied to the police chief. I'm sure that his department will handle that accordingly. The chief has asked us to waive the permit fee of $100 to allow the contractor to perform a traffic light replacement at the intersection of South Main Street and Fruit Street.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We received a memo from Town Council regarding the handling of the highway truck that had suffered burn damage and actually is considered total. And also, we have correspondence which is identified as G6, which is a memo from Scott Crisafulli, the highway surveyor, looking for a replacement of truck number 6. Essentially, Jerry has indicated that we'll be using the property self-insurance fund to pay for the quote-unquote damages to the vehicle of $54,000, and the highway surveyor will be seeking an article at the annual town meeting for the difference of $87,000 so as to be able to purchase a replacement vehicle for $140,000 approximately.
Move, Mr. Chairman. I think this is reasonable
Second.
as requested.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Not. All in favor? Any opposed? That too is unanimous. Dean, do you have any new business?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Bill?
No new business, Mr. Chairman.
Under correspondence, we received notification of inspection results from ICE indicating that the special agents have conducted a compliance review and inspection of the town of Milford. During this review, the requirements of Section 274A of the Immigration and Nationality Act were discussed, and Forms I-9 were reviewed. The agency has determined that there is no basis for further investigation to be conducted at the town of Milford. So that's good news. This is bad news. We received a notice of retirement from Charlie Scaff that effective September 3rd, 2013, he will retire after over 40 years of service with the town of Milford. So it's difficult to realize town hall of the town of Milford without Charlie bopping around.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, dedicated employee. He's always there, working on weekends, not getting paid for it, and he just loves the job, and it's, too bad that he's retiring, but we also wish him the best. And I would hope that the next, when we do post this position, we really have to think it out and hire the right person, because it's a most important position that maintains this building,
Absolutely.
Yeah, as the primary caretaker for what is clearly a wonderful building. You're right, I agree with you, and Charlie's done a wonderful job at keeping this building the way it is and the way people see it every day. So it's, reluctantly, obviously we accept, but you're right about the next person, Dina.
So we'll send Charlie a letter accepting it with regret, and then also I can work with Rick in terms on setting up a time frame for a replacement process, which we can look at a later meeting.
Quite a year for retirement, huh?
I guess it is. I don't know. It must be something in the air. We have a inspection report that I had requested the building commissioner to do to the Milford Youth Center because they have a couple of articles on the town meeting warrant to replace a portion of the roof and some doors. However, I thought it was important for the building commissioner to inspect the building because literally chunks of plaster and cement are falling off of that building due to the amount of leakage that is occurring. And his report is quite comprehensive and in essence indicates that the entire roof ought to be replaced. And when you look at the cost of doing that in relation to the assessed value of the building, it's greater than 30%, and that also requires the building to be made handicap accessible, which it is not. And working into that process requires bathroom renovations, which will impact plumbing work that needs to be done with the building, and also a fire suppression system. So I have added an article to the town meeting, which will be presenting through the Armory Renovation Committee to seek funds for an architect to go forward with the appropriate renovation and repair of the building. I provide this report simply for our information so that we can get a sense as to the extent of work that really needs to be done at that building. If there's any question or comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I agree. I think this is something that we've looked at. It's certainly a situation where the roof has to be, the drainage has to be put in so that we don't ruin other aspects of the building. And I think once we receive the report from the architect, we'll be able to, phase it in the proper way. And the only thing I would also add, Mr. Chairman, is that I would write to, if I would write to Mike Fitzpatrick at the school, and just put it on the list for next September, and there may be something that the children can do to that building that would maybe offset some of the costs. Not major stuff, but there could be something small. But I agree with the plan. It's a building, some of these things have to be taken care of, and the longer we wait, I think it'll certainly be injurious to some of the other, whether it be the floors or other materials in the building.
If you have any comment, Bill, or
Yeah,
question?
no, John's report is very comprehensive. We certainly don't want anything where our employees or youth are at risk of being injured because of repairs needed. And we certainly have an obligation to the community to keep up the building. So I see no issue at all with moving forward. And I think, Dino's suggestion that we look to see, once we get an architect's report, we look and see how we phase this in and what we do over time is very important to moving forward. And this is the first step, getting the building inspector's report.
Okay, thank you. We also received a report from the building commissioner regarding the periodic inspections of the multifamily dwellings that have been going on, and I think his office has done great work in this regard. They've inspected all of the 116 4- to 8-unit buildings. They've issued 114 certificates. They're also inspecting 184 three-family dwellings. Of that, 138 have submitted their applications. 84 inspections have been performed. 68 certificates have issued, and they've been inspecting the 110 multifamily apartments that contain more than 8 units, with certificates issued to 4 apartment buildings with more than 8 units. He's indicated that overwhelmingly the most common violation is the lack of proper smoke and carbon monoxide detector coverage, and other issues have included improper or inadequate means of egress. The objective of the periodic inspections is to ensure the safety of the occupants. And as he gets closer to the completion of the periodic inspections and move into the spring months, the task force will again begin walking neighborhoods on a regular basis to view properties closer. So, I mean, I don't know. I think they've done a great job with this, and it's something that never ends. It's just ongoing maintenance. So I'm glad that they're doing that work.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if it would help me a lot just to, I know they have the new software. It's generally very easy to produce the reports. And I would think about a very high-level report showing the violations by property and the number of cases. That would be helpful for me. Just a spreadsheet maybe would be sufficient because it's good to periodically get these reports. The other thing is, as we get into the spring, I'd ask this board, in working with the building inspector, to see if they could put some emphasis on Main Street. I know that receive a great deal of feedback on Main Street. They've been in the neighborhoods, and I certainly don't want to micromanage, but if we could put some emphasis on Main Street and some of the, that's certainly a way in which people come through the town and think about the town after seeing it. Maybe there's some renewed emphasis there would help us with some of the conditions that we might see. So maybe a spreadsheet giving us some report here,
Yeah.
and then asking if John can put some emphasis on Main Street specifically, not in, without regard to the other areas of the community, but
You're talking about the residential units, correct?
residential
Yeah,
units
okay.
on Main
All
Street.
right, so you got that, Rick? And present that to John and see what we can get.
He's doing great work there, though, I agree.
Mr. Chairman, could we also, you know, it definitely, Rick, it has to be a priority. With Louis, there was, you know, weekly discussions, so hopefully that'll continue. We have a property bylaw now that town meeting instituted. And the other thing is, Mr. Chairman, Bill, maybe the town planner or the building commissioner could look at, once again, Main Street. I drive through Main Street all the time, and that's the integral part of town when you come in. What's happening now is we have signs that, you know, advertise, handwritten signs on windows. You know, they're crooked, and, I don't know, I think there should be some type of, if we can, some type of conformity where, you know, you just can't have, you know, some person who just draws something on a sign and put it on the window and.
Do you want to get the town planner started on this sign?
No, just says,
bylaw,
I just think we
which
need
was
something.
encyclopedic?
I just think it doesn't look pristine. It just, I think, detracts from the Main Street. And also with with Mike Nicholson, the Handicap Commission on Disability, also during the summertime, you see all these type of flags that are erected near the sidewalk, and they, you know, when the wind's blowing, they blow, and I think that's something that is not good for people who are visually impaired or may not see that. So we're also trying to tighten that up also. But, you know, I just think for the general public, people from out of town going through town, I don't think it looks good to have all those types of signs, you know, all over the place, handwritten, drawn, and, you know, half of them are crooked, and I don't think it adds anything to Main Street. We've spent too much money, too much effort and energy in trying to make Main Street clean, visually, aesthetically pleasing and whatnot. So if we
Okay.
can, you know.
Okay. Going on to correspondence, received an application from Tara Cannelli for the Milford Geriatric Authority. I don't think there's any openings on that right now?
No. I think it might be in the future, though.
Rick?
Is there?
There may be in the future.
Okay.
Right, but
Yeah.
not at this moment.
Well, not right now.
Not right now.
Okay,
Not
so
tonight,
just,
right?
no,
Not tonight, okay.
yeah, keep that on file, and then we'll take that from there. Received the correspondence from the Attorney General's office regarding the drinking at establishments, and usually this list that we get might have 2, maybe 3 places on there. We have a lot on this one, and I tallied it somewhere, yeah. 6 came from Scioli's, 5 from Pins, 2 at the Tradesman, and 1 at Fridays. So in the past, we've sent letters of warning, you know, to these establishments. You know, having been in the court system and dealing with OUI cases, I do understand that the indicia of reliability on this information is marginal at best. However, it is some information, and I think this board has certainly looked at it in the past, and I think we will continue to look at it. So I'll open up to the board as to what you'd like to do with this. I mean, I found these numbers to be much larger than last time, but again, we need to keep in mind the level of accuracy. For example, you know, they list the Rose Garden on Route 140 in Milford. I think it's in Upton. So, you know, this really should not be the end-all, be-all, but I think it does provide some level of information.
You're right, Mr. Chairman, I don't think we can use it, we've never used it as a punitive type thing, but what I think we have done, I think we've sent a copy to the establishments, just letting them be aware of this information.
Bill?
Yeah, I think we have sent letters. I think it's perfectly appropriate when and if there's an action against any of the license holders that we go back and review this data. I think it would be appropriate we send that information to the license holders and say that this, as well as any other information we receive from the state, will be looked at and considered, should there be any actions. It's troubling when I see so much of the Scioli's, and this board has just sanctioned that, and it was part of the allegations that, counsel, for example, had in saying that having concerns about serving people too much alcohol. So, I think it's a letter that's worthwhile to the establishments, and let them know that we're going to be looking at this, should there be any action.
Yes, and we have those letters which we can draw
Yeah.
upon. And I think we also need to keep in mind the context of these in terms of the year 2011 and 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something, I guess, that happened yesterday. It looks like the most recent one was April 20th, 2012. So at this point, I agree, let's send correspondence to the license holders, and we have those letters we can look at. We also received an updated sanitary survey from DEP regarding the Milford Water Company, which is something that we've received on a periodic basis. Last but not least, we received correspondence from the governor's office indicating that the town of Milford Chapter 90 money is provisionally $1,221,426. So that's a healthy number, I think, compared to prior years. That's all I have. Anything on the left?
No, nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Anything on the right?
That's enough.
Okay, we do have an executive session this evening, which we will be returning to our regular room 3, and we will not be returning to open session. It is for the Fire Association collective bargaining.
Motion, Mr. Chairman?
Motion made, seconded, roll call vote. Dean?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
I too vote in the affirmative. Thank you, good night, the meeting has concluded.